The Korean Mafia boss vanished the night she needed him most. 5 years later, her daughter looked at the stranger and said, "I've been waiting for you." Daddy, she had spent 5 years preparing for every possible version of this moment. She had prepared for the moment Nia would ask why she didn't have a father like the other children at her school in Johannesburg. She had prepared gentle answers, age-appropriate answers, answers that told the truth without all of it. She had prepared for the questions that came in the bath and at bedtime, and during the long drives through the city when Nia would go quiet in the back seat, and Zara could feel her daughter thinking, the way she always felt it, like a change in air pressure. What she had not prepared for was this. The man sitting across the dinner table in her father's formal dining room in Sandton, Johannesburg, was the same man she had spent 5 years trying to forget. Zara stood in the doorway of the dining room and looked at Kwon Tae-jun and felt the floor dissolve beneath her feet. He had not seen her yet. He was speaking to her father, some low, measured exchange in the particular tone of two powerful men establishing territory. His profile was exactly as she remembered it, the sharp geometry of his face, the black hair. The way he held himself, completely still, completely controlled, like a man who had learned a very long time ago that stillness was its own form of power. He had been 28 when she met him. He was 33 now. He was more of everything. Zara stood in that doorway for exactly 4 seconds. Then she felt a small, warm hand slip into hers. She looked down. Nia was looking up at her with those eyes that were half hers and half his and fully their own, dark and deep and always, always seeing more than a 5-year-old should see. "Mama," Nia said softly. "Why did you go all stiff?" "I didn't," Zara said. Her voice came out steady. She was proud of that. "You did," Nia said. "Your hand went cold." She looked through the doorway at the dining room, at the man sitting at the table. She looked for a long moment with that particular quality of attention she had always had, the kind that made people uncomfortable, the kind that felt less like a child looking and more like something much older recognizing something. "Mama," Nia said. "Yes, baby." "That man smells like me." Zara's heart stopped. She whispered. Nia tilted her head, still looking at the man who had not yet turned around. "He smells like me," she said again simply, as though this was the most obvious thing in the world. "The same smell, under everything else. The same." Zara could not speak. "Can we go in now?" Nia asked. And before Zara could answer, before she could form a single word of the 100 things she needed to say, Nia walked through the doorway and into the dining room. "But I need to take you back, because nothing about this moment makes sense without the night it started. 5 years ago. One night. One man who appeared from nowhere and disappeared just as completely. And a little girl who arrived 9 months later, and immediately began saying things that nobody could explain. Zara Dlamini was 24 years old when everything happened. She was in her final year of a master's degree in international finance at the University of the Witwatersrand in Johannesburg. She was the daughter of Senator Elias Dlamini, one of the most prominent political figures in South Africa, a man whose public image was built on conservative values and family tradition, and the specific kind of moral authority that requires other people's lives to remain extremely tidy. Zara loved her father. She was also, in the quiet of her own honesty, slightly afraid of him, not in the way of direct cruelty. Senator Dlamini was not a cruel man. He was an exacting one. He had expectations that arrived fully formed and were not open to discussion. He had a vision for his family that included a specific kind of daughter, and Zara had spent 24 years being approximately that daughter, while a different version of herself waited quietly in the space behind her eyes. That year, Zara had been working on a research project that required data from several international financial institutions. One of those institutions had a representative office in Johannesburg, and through a series of professional contacts, she had been invited to a networking dinner at a hotel in Sandton. She had almost not gone. She had a deadline the following morning. The dinner would run late. She was tired, and the thought of professional small talk over expensive food was not appealing. But her supervisor had asked her specifically to attend and represent the university's research program, and Zara had never been good at disappointing people who were counting on her. She went. The dinner was in a private room on the 14th floor of the hotel, 30 people around a long table, the specific mixture of academics and finance professionals that produces conversations that sound important and mean very little. Zara sat near the middle of the table and spoke when spoken to and ate her food and was planning her exit by 9:30. Then the fire alarm went off. Not a drill. An actual fire in the hotel's mechanical room on the 8th floor that filled 3 corridors with smoke before the sprinklers activated. The 14th floor dinner was evacuated in controlled chaos down the emergency stairwell. 30 people in dinner clothes descending 14 floors in a narrow staircase with the specific indignity of expensive shoes on concrete steps. On the 9th floor landing, the crowd slowed to a stop. Someone near the front had stumbled. A woman in heels. The stairwell was too narrow for people to pass easily, and the group compressed, and a man directly behind Zara lost his footing on the step and lurched forward. She stumbled. A hand caught her. She grabbed it without thinking, one hand bracing against the wall, the other wrapped around an arm that was steady in the way of something that had been specifically designed to be steady. She looked up. He was Korean. That was her first thought. Her second thought was that she had never seen a face quite like this one, sharp and still and watchful, the face of a man who was always the calmest thing in whatever room he occupied. "Are you all right?" he said. His English was accented slightly, precise and careful. "Yes," she said. "Thank you." "Don't let go until the crowd moves," he said. "The step is uneven here." She didn't let go. They descended the remaining 9 floors together, his hand steady under hers. And when they reached the hotel lobby and spilled out into the cool Johannesburg night with 30 other people and a lobby full of guests and hotel staff and 2 fire trucks visible at the entrance, she realized she was still holding his arm. She released it. "Sorry," she said. "Apologize," he said. They stood on the pavement outside the hotel in the specific dislocation of people who have just been removed from a context and are uncertain about the next one. "You with the dinner?" she asked. "No," he said. "I'm staying in the hotel. I was having dinner in the restaurant on the 12th floor. Looked at her. "Yes." She didn't know why she had asked that. She noted the not knowing and set it aside. "Kwon Jun," he said and extended his hand. "Zara Dilamini," she said and shook it. His hand was warm. She noted that too. They stood on that pavement for a while as the fire trucks did their work and the hotel guests milled around, and the dinner she had been planning to escape from effectively escaped from itself. He asked her what she was working on. She told him. He asked specific follow-up questions that told her he actually understood what she was talking about, which was unusual enough in general and particularly unusual in a hotel pavement conversation with a stranger. She asked what he did. "Business," he said. "What kind?" "Various kinds," he said. The answer was smooth and practiced, and she filed it away. They talked for 40 minutes on that pavement, and it felt like 10. At some point, the hotel manager announced that the affected floors were clear and guests could return to their rooms. Jun looked at her. "Restaurant is probably still serving," he said. "If you'd like to continue this conversation somewhere with chairs." Zara thought about her deadline. "Yes," she said. They had dinner in the hotel restaurant until midnight. She told him about her research, about international capital flows and the specific economic vulnerabilities of emerging markets. And he listened with the quality of attention she had already noticed, complete and unperforming. He told her things about business in Asia and the specific texture of operating across multiple regulatory environments. And she asked questions, and he answered them fully, and she noted that he never once spoke about himself in terms that told her who he actually was or what he actually controlled. She noted this and did not push. At midnight, she said she needed to leave. He walked her to the hotel entrance where her car was waiting. "Your research," he said. "The data you need from the institutional representatives. I know some people who could make those conversations happen faster than the official channels." She looked at him. "Why would you do that?" she said. He held her gaze. "Because you're interesting," he said simply. "And because it costs me nothing." She looked at him for a long moment. "Give me your number," she said. "I'll think about it." He gave her his number. She got in her car. She drove home thinking about a man on a hotel pavement whose hand had been warm and who asked real questions and who had something behind his eyes that she couldn't name but couldn't stop looking for. She texted him the next day about the research contacts. He responded within minutes and sent 3 names and 3 phone numbers and a brief note about how to approach each conversation. She thanked him. He asked if she was free for dinner. She said yes. They met 4 times over the following 2 weeks. Each time she understood him slightly more and slightly less simultaneously. He was intelligent in a specific uncommon way. Not the performing kind, but the working kind. The kind that absorbed information and processed it quietly, and arrived at positions that were usually right and always reasoned. He was funny in a dry, sparse way that caught her off guard every time. He was careful with his words in a manner that suggested he had learned at some point that words had costs. He told her he was in Johannesburg for business for 3 weeks. He told her he was based in Seoul. He told her he had a younger sister who worried about him and a mother he called every Sunday. He did not tell her the nature of his business. She knew, by the third dinner, that whatever he did existed in a world that operated differently from the one she studied in textbooks. She had seen it in small things. The way a man at a restaurant had recognized him and gone slightly pale. The way his phone sometimes buzzed with messages he read and did not respond to immediately, but whose content made his jaw set in a specific way. The security that was always present but never visible, 2 men who appeared at different distances, depending on the location, but who she now knew were always there. She was not naive. She had grown up as a senator's daughter in South Africa. She understood that power came in forms that did not always announce themselves cleanly. She had dinner with him a 4th time, and at the end of it he walked her to her car again, and this time when she turned to say goodnight he was closer than she expected, and she looked at him and he looked at her, and neither of them moved for a moment that stretched into something it couldn't come back from. "I leave in 4 days, he said. "I know," she said. "Zara," he said, her name in his mouth with that slight accent. The way he said it like it was something worth saying carefully. "Don't," she said. "Don't what?" "Don't make it a question," she said. "If you're going to say something, say it." He looked at her for a long moment. "Come upstairs," he said. Simply and completely, she looked at him. She thought about her father and his expectations and the specific, carefully maintained image of Senator Dlamini's daughter. She thought about her deadline and her research and the sensible, structured life she had been living for 24 years. She thought about a hand on a stairwell and 40 minutes on a hotel pavement and 4 dinners that felt like 4 years. "Yes," she said. She woke up at 3 in the morning and he was not in the bed. She lay still for a moment in the dark of his hotel room and listened. Nothing. She got up. Checked the bathroom. Empty. Checked the sitting room of the suite. Empty. His jacket was gone. His phone was gone. The room had the specific quality of a space that a person has recently but completely left. She stood in the middle of the suite in the silence. She dressed. She went home. She did not cry. She was too confused to cry. She texted him once, a simple message. She waited. He did not reply. By the end of the following day, she understood that she was not going to get a reply. That the man who had asked real questions and walked her to her car and said her name like it was worth saying carefully had, for reasons she could not explain, simply stopped existing as far as she was concerned. She deleted his number. She went back to her thesis. She did not tell anyone. 6 weeks later, she discovered she was pregnant. She sat in the bathroom of her apartment with a test in her hands and felt the very specific sensation of the floor of your life dropping away beneath you. She sat there for a long time. Then she made a decision. She could not have this child in Johannesburg, not as Senator Dlamini's daughter. Not with no father, no explanation, no story that fit inside the life her father had constructed around their family. The scandal would be managed, but the cost of managing it would be extracted from her in ways she could already map precisely. She applied for a research fellowship in Cape Town, which allowed her to complete her degree remotely while living away from Johannesburg. She told her father she needed the distance for the final research phase. He approved it with the specific distracted approval of a man who trusted his daughter's academic diligence without examining it too closely. She had the baby in Cape Town in July. A girl, perfect. Small. The combination of her and a man she had known for 2 weeks and who had vanished at 3 in the morning without explanation. She looked at this child and felt something she had not expected, not regret, not grief, something that felt like recognition, like meeting someone she already knew. She named her Nia Dlamini. She did not put a father's name on the birth certificate. She went back to Johannesburg when Nia was 4 months old with a story about an anonymous donor and a decision made deliberately and alone, which was not entirely a lie because the alone part was certainly true. Her father had not been pleased. Her father had been, in the specific Senator Dlamini way, controlled in his displeasure, which was worse than shouting. He had looked at his granddaughter once and said she was beautiful. Then he had gone to his study and closed the door. For 5 years after that, their arrangement had been a careful one. Zara raised Nia. Senator Dlamini maintained his image. The family presented publicly as a unit. The details of Nia's paternity were never discussed at family dinners or social events. She was simply Senator Dlamini's granddaughter, which in Johannesburg's social circles was explanation enough. It had worked. For 5 years it had worked, until 3 weeks ago when Senator Dlamini had called Zara into his study and told her he had arranged a marriage. A marriage, Zara had said. A strategic alliance, her father had said. He was behind his desk, which was where he sat when delivering information he had decided was not open to discussion. Between our family and the Kwon family of Seoul, it has been in discussion for 14 months. The agreement is finalized. I'm 29 years old, Zara said. You arranged a marriage for me without asking me. Consulted with your best interests in mind, her father said. The Kwon family has significant interests in South African infrastructure development. The connection benefits this family and this country. The man is 33, educated, established. I have a 5-year-old daughter, Zara said. He is aware of that. Zara looked at her father. And he's made no objection, her father said. Zara sat with this. What is his name? She said. Kwon Tae-jun, her father said. He arrives for dinner on Friday. Zara had left the study. She had gone to Nia's room. Nia was sitting on her bedroom floor surrounded by drawings she had made, which was her constant occupation. Nia drew constantly. Strange, detailed drawings for a 5-year-old. Faces that looked like specific real people. Scenes that looked like places she had never been. Nia said without looking up. You're worried. I'm thinking, Zara said. Worried and thinking, Nia said. They feel different. Zara sat on the floor beside her daughter. What are you drawing? She said. Nia held up the paper. It was a face, a man's face, sharp features, Korean features, drawn with the confident, imprecise lines of a 5-year-old who somehow, despite the imprecision, had captured something real. Zara's blood went cold. Who is that? She said carefully. Nia looked at the drawing. I don't know, she said. I just see him sometimes. When I'm almost sleeping. She looked at Zara. He looks sad, Mama. Like he lost something. Zara looked at the drawing for a long time. Then she said, Put your drawings away for dinner, baby. She went to her room. She sat on the edge of her bed, and she thought about a man on a stairwell 5 years ago and a hotel room at 3 in the morning and a child who drew faces in her sleep. Now she stood in the doorway of her father's formal dining room while her daughter walked toward the man who was the face in those drawings and said with complete 5-year-old certainty, He smells like me. Tae-jun looked up. He saw Nia first. A small girl in a navy dress with natural hair and the specific fearless confidence of a child who had never been taught to be afraid of rooms. She was walking toward him with her eyes on his face and the expression of someone who has recognized something they have been looking for. Then he looked past her, and he saw Zara. The room went the specific quality of silent that happens when something very large is happening and nobody is nomming it yet. Tae-jun looked at Zara. Zara looked at Tae-jun. Senator Dlamini looked between them. Nia reached the table and put both her small hands on the edge of it and looked directly at Tae-jun from a distance of about 2 feet. Are you the man who makes my mama go all stiff? She said. Nobody in the room spoke. Tae-jun looked at this child. He looked at her face. He was very still. Nia, Zara said from the doorway. Her voice was remarkably steady. Come sit with mama. Nia did not move. She was looking at Tae-jun with those eyes, and he was looking back at her, and something was happening between them that had nothing to do with the dinner or the alliance or any of the careful plans Senator Dlamini had spent 14 months constructing. Your eyes are the same as mine, Nia said to Tae-jun. Tae-jun looked at this child's face. He looked at her eyes. He looked at Zara in the doorway. Zara, he said. His voice was very quiet. Sit down, please. Dinner was the most extraordinary performance Zara had ever been required to give. Senator Dlamini, who was either genuinely unaware of the specific electricity in the room or was choosing for strategic reasons to ignore it, conducted the dinner with his usual formal precision. He spoke about the infrastructure partnership. He spoke about the trade relationship between South Africa and South Korea. He spoke about the upcoming state visit by a delegation from Seoul to Johannesburg in the spring. Tae-jun responded to everything appropriately, in the controlled, measured way that she remembered and had tried to forget. But his eyes kept going to Nia, and Nia kept looking at him with the specific attention that made adults uncomfortable. Nia was seated beside Zara, which was where she always sat. She ate her food neatly, which she always did, and was quiet for the first part of dinner, which was unusual. Then, between the main course and dessert, Nia put down her fork and looked at Tae-jun across the table. "Are you going to be my father?" she said. The table went completely still. Senator Delamini's fork stopped midway to his mouth. Zara felt the blood leave her face. Tae-jun looked at Nia. "What made you ask that?" he said. His voice was completely even. "Grandfather said a man was coming to have dinner and that things were going to change," Nia said. "And Mama has been making her worried face for 3 weeks, and you smell like me, and your eyes are the same." She tilted her head in the way she always tilted it when she was working something out. "It adds up, Nia," Zara said quietly. "It does add up," Nia said unapologetically. She looked at Tae-jun. "I'm 5. I'm not a baby." Tae-jun looked at this child for a long moment. Then, very slightly, the corner of his mouth moved. "No," he said. "You're clearly not." "Are you," Nia said, "going to be my father?" "Nia," Senator Delamini's voice, sharp and carrying the specific authority of a man who has been managing situations for 40 years, Nia looked at her grandfather. "Grandfather," she said pleasantly, "adults say not to lie, but adults lie all the time and call it being polite. I'm just asking a real question." Table was silent for a full 3 seconds. Then Tae-jun laughed. It was not a small or polite laugh. It was a real one, surprised out of him, the laugh of a man who has been in controlled, precise rooms for his entire adult life and has just encountered something that operates on entirely different principles. Senator Delamini put down his fork. Zara looked at her hands. Nia looked at Tae-jun with the expression of someone whose question had still not been answered. "We'll talk after dinner," Tae-jun said to Nia. "You and I, is that acceptable?" Nia considered this with the seriousness she brought to all negotiations. "Yes," she said. "But don't forget, I remember things." "I believe you," Tae-jun said. Nia picked up her fork and went back to her food. After dinner, Senator Delamini excused himself to make calls, which Zara understood was a strategic retreat to allow what needed to happen to happen. She took Nia to the sitting room and settled her with a book and told her to stay there. Nia looked up from the book. "Going to go talk to the man?" she said. "Yes. About me, among other things." Nia looked at her book, then back at Zara. "Mama," she said. "Yes, baby." "Didn't know," Nia said. "About me, did he?" Zara was very still. "What makes you say that?" "Because of how he looked at you when he saw you," Nia said. "It wasn't a happy surprise, it was a sad one." She turned a page. "People look happy when they get something they expected. They look sad when they get something they missed." She looked up again. "He missed something, didn't he?" Zara looked at her 5-year-old daughter. "Read your book," she said softly. She went to the dining room. Tae-jun was standing at the window. He turned when she came in. They looked at each other across the room. "Close the door," he said. She closed it. The room was very quiet. 5 years old," he said. "Yes." "When?" "July. 5 years ago, July." He turned back to the window. He stood with his back to her and she watched his shoulders and understood that underneath the control something was happening that he was managing with everything he had. "The night I left," he said. "Yes. Didn't you tell me?" The question landed with its full weight. "I tried," Zara said. Her voice was steady. She had decided years ago that if this moment ever came, she would not be less than steady. "Once, 3 days after that night, I sent one message." Jun was very still. "Never received a message," he said. "I know," Zara said. "I understood that eventually." He turned from the window. He looked at her. "The night I left," he said. "I need to explain." "You don't," she said. "Zara." "You don't," she said again, and her voice was still steady, but there was something underneath it that had been waiting 5 years to be heard and was very close to the surface. "What happened happened. I made my decisions. I raised her. She's extraordinary. That is the situation." Tae-jun looked at her. "She is extraordinary," he said quietly. "She looked at me like she knew me." "She drew your face," Zara said. "She's been drawing your face for years. She doesn't know whose face it is. She just says she sees it when she's almost sleeping." Tae-jun was very still. "She drew my face," he said. "Yes." He looked at the window. "I want to know her," he said. "Whatever that means in the context of everything else, whatever arrangement exists or is being planned, I want to know her." Zara looked at this man. She thought about 5 years. About Cape Town and Johannesburg and school runs and bedtime stories and the specific weight of raising someone extraordinary entirely alone. "That's her choice," Zara said. "Not mine and not yours, hers." Tae-jun looked at her. "Going to let a 5-year-old decide?" "I'm going to let her decide what she wants," Zara said. "She already has opinions. You've met her, you know this." Something moved through Tae-jun's expression. "Yes," he said. "I do know this." He told Zara why he had left that night. Not immediately. It came out over the following days, in pieces. The way things come out when they have been held for a long time and the person holding them is not naturally given to easy disclosure. 3 years before he met Zara, Tae-jun had taken over leadership of the KWON organization from his father, who had suffered a stroke and could no longer run the empire he had built across decades of careful, dangerous work. The KWON organization operated in the spaces between legitimate business and its shadow side, in ways that produced enormous wealth and required enormous caution. The night he left Zara's room had not been a choice. A message had come through at 2 a.m. from his second in command. A threat, specific and credible, and requiring his immediate physical presence in Seoul. His sister had been threatened. The kind of threat that required response not in days but in hours. He had left. He had meant to contact Zara from Seoul. He had thought of her on the flight back. He had thought of her in the weeks that followed while managing the crisis that had required his departure. Then his phone had been compromised in a security breach that his team had contained, but not before significant data was lost. Numbers, contacts, messages received during the window of the breach. He had not known her last name. He had not known how to find her. He had searched in the ways available to him and found nothing conclusive, and eventually, in the way of men who have too much to manage and have told themselves a story about what the silence means, he had accepted the silence as the answer and moved forward. Zara listened to all of this. She sat with it. "You could have found me," she said. "If you'd tried harder," he said, simply and without defense. "I could have. I didn't try hard enough. That is true, and I can't change it." She looked at him. "No," she said. "You can't. Subscribe right now, bestie, if you are new here, because this story is only just beginning, and you are not going to believe what Nia does next. Drop a comment and tell me where you are watching from. I want to hear from South Africa, the USA, Canada, the UK, Australia, and everywhere in the world. Hit that like button. Let's continue." Fire the conversation between Tae-jun and Nia happened on the third day. Zara had not arranged it. It had arranged itself with the specific inevitability of things involving Nia, who moved through the world with an agenda that she did not announce in advance, but that consistently arrived at exactly where it intended. Tae-jun had come to the house for what was framed as a follow-up, meeting with Senator Dlamini about the partnership arrangements. Zara was in the garden with her laptop working when she heard small feet on the patio stones. She looked up. Nia was walking toward the section of the garden where Tae-jun was standing, having apparently excused himself from the meeting inside for some air. She was carrying 2 glasses of water, one in each hand, with the extreme concentration of a child transporting liquid without spilling it. She reached him. She held out 1 glass. He looked at her. He took it. "Thank you," he said. "Welcome," Nia said. She sipped her own water and looked at the garden. "The roses need water. Mama keeps forgetting." "Does she?" "She forgets things when she's busy thinking," Nia said. "She's been very busy thinking since you came." Tae-jun looked at the roses. "I see," he said. "Are you thinking a lot too?" Nia asked. "Yes," he said. "About what?" He was quiet for a moment. "About whether I did the right things," he said. Nia considered this. "Mama says regret is only useful for about 5 minutes," she said. "After 5 minutes it just makes you sad without fixing anything." Tae-jun looked at this child. "Your mother is wise," he said. "She's the smartest person I know," Nia said with the complete certainty of absolute conviction. "But she's also sad sometimes when she thinks I'm sleeping." She looked at him with those eyes. "Are you the reason she's sad?" Tae-jun held the 5-year-old's gaze. "Partly," he said honestly. "Are you going to fix it?" "I would like to try," he said. Nia looked at him for a long moment. "I think you're my father," she said. The garden was completely still. A bird called somewhere in the trees behind the house. The sun was doing something specific with the light through the jacaranda at the far end of the garden. "What makes you think that?" Tae-jun said. "I already told you," Nia said. "You smell the same as me. Your eyes are the same. And when I draw the face I dream about, it looks like your face." She sipped her water. "Also, when Mama looks at you, she looks the way she looks at my drawings, like it hurts a little but she can't stop looking." Tae-jun said nothing. "You," Nia said. He looked at this small girl with her 2 glasses of water and her ancient eyes and her absolute refusal to accept the polite avoidance that adults use to manage difficult truths. "I think I might be," he said. "I'm still learning what happened." Nia nodded slowly. "'Kay," she said. He said. "I'll wait," she said. "I'm patient. Mama says I was patient even when I was a baby." She finished her water. "But not forever. I'm 5. I don't have forever." Tae-jun looked at her. "No," he said. "I suppose you don't." "Take too long," Nia said. She turned and walked back toward the house with the empty glass in her hand. Tae-jun stood in the garden alone. He stood there for a long time. The DNA test was Tae-jun's request, not because he doubted it. He had looked at Nia's face for 3 days. There was no doubt in the biological sense of the word. He requested it because his world required documentation. Because the things that flowed from paternity in his world, the legal structures, the inheritance questions, the specific protection that a Kwon child needed in a world that used Kwon family members as leverage, all of it required documentation. He explained this to Zara. She looked at him. Already thinking about protection, she said. I'm always thinking about protection, he said. For anyone who is mine. Zara sat with the word mine. She's not yours, she said carefully. She's hers and mine. You are potentially her father. That is a different thing. Tae-jun looked at her. Right, he said. I apologize, that was badly phrased. She looked at him for a moment. Test, she said. Fine, but Nia doesn't get told the results by anyone except me and my words at a time I choose. Agreed, he said immediately. The test came back in 4 days, 99, 98%. Tae-jun sat in his hotel suite in Santon and read the number and stayed very still for a long time. Then he called his sister in Seoul. I have a daughter, he said. His sister was quiet for a moment. She said, I have a daughter, he said again. She's 5 years old, her name is Nia. She's the most remarkable person I have ever met and I have known her for less than a week. His sister made a sound that was not quite a word. She told me not to take too long, he said. She said she doesn't have forever, she's 5. Tae-jun, his sister said. I know, he said. Are you all right? He thought about the garden, about 2 glasses of water, about a child who drew his face while she was almost sleeping and didn't know why. I don't know yet, he said honestly, but I think I'm going to be. Zara told Nia on a Sunday morning. She sat with her on the bed in Nia's room, the drawings spread around them, and she told her in careful, true words that Tae-jun was her father and that he had not known about her, and that now he did, and that he very much wanted to know her. Nia listened to all of it. When Zara finished, Nia was quiet for a moment. I knew, she said. I know you did, Zara said. Is he going to live with us? Nia asked. Right now, Zara said. He lives in Seoul, we live here. Seoul is far, Nia said. Yes, Nia thought about this. Can I call him? She said. Yes. I call him Dad. Zara felt the word land in her chest. You can call him whatever you want, she said. Nia looked at the drawing on her wall, the face she had been drawing for years. I want to call him Dad, she said, but I'll ask him first to make sure it's okay with him. She looked at Zara. It's polite to ask. Zara looked at her daughter. Yes, she said. It is polite to ask. Mama, Nia said. Yes. You sad? No, baby, I'm okay. Nia looked at her with those eyes. A little sad, she said. But it's a different kind of sad from before. Before was like missing something. Now it's like, she searched for the word. Like when you put something down for a long time and then pick it up again and your arms feel different. Zara looked at her child. When did you get so wise? She said. I was always this wise, Nia said simply. You just forgot because you were busy. First phone call between Nia and Tae-jun lasted 47 minutes. Zara sat in the next room and heard fragments of it. She heard Nia explain, in complete seriousness, the specific rules of the drawings she made and why some faces came to her and others she had to work for. She heard Nia ask Tae-jun what Seoul smelled like. She heard Nia tell him that Johannesburg smelled like rain and metal and flowers that were trying too hard. She heard Nia say, after a long pause, Can I call you Dad? She did not hear his response. But she heard Nia say, in the specific tone of someone whose question has been answered correctly, Okay, good. When the call ended, Nia came and found Zara in the kitchen. He cried, Nia said. Zara looked up from what she was doing. Just a little, Nia said. He tried to hide it, but I heard it. She went to the refrigerator and took out the apple juice. Men think crying is embarrassing. It's not. It's just feelings coming out. Where did you hear that? Zara said. I worked it out, Nia said. She poured her juice carefully. Mama. When are we going to Seoul? We're not, Zara started. He invited us, Nia said. He asked if we could visit. I said I'd ask you. She put the juice back. Can we go? Zara looked at her daughter. Think about it, she said. That means yes, but later, Nia said. Okay. She picked up her glass and went back to her drawings. They went to Seoul 6 weeks later. Tae-jun sent a private jet. Nia, who had never been on a plane before, stood in the entrance of the jet and looked around with an expression of complete controlled wonder that she was clearly trying to keep proportionate and failing. It's very big, she said to Zara. Yes, Zara said. 2 people, Nia said. Yes. Nia walked down the aisle of the jet, touching the seats very lightly with one finger each. The way she touched things, she was deciding whether to trust. She sat down in a window seat. She buckled her seatbelt with great seriousness. She looked out the window at the Johannesburg tarmac. "Mama," she said. "Yes." "I'm not scared," she said. "I just want you to know I'm not scared." "I know you're not," Zara said. "I'm a little bit scared," Nia said quietly. "I know," Zara said. "Me too." Nia looked at her. "Scared of seeing him again," she said. Zara looked at the window. "Read your book," she said. Nia opened her book. "It's okay to be scared," she said, not looking up. "It means something matters." Seoul arrived in the specific drama of a city that does not do anything quietly. The skyline from the plane window made Nia press her face against the glass and stay there for the entire descent without moving, which was the longest she had been still in 12 hours of flying. Jun met them at the private terminal. He was standing on the tarmac when the steps came down, and Nia appeared at the top of them and looked at the city and then looked at him. She came down the steps carefully, holding the rail, and when she reached the bottom, she walked directly to him and stopped and looked up. "Hi, Dad," she said. Jun looked at this child. "Hi, Nia," he said. She held out her arms. He crouched down and she walked into the hug and put her arms around his neck, and he held his daughter for the first time, and Zara stood at the top of the steps and looked at the Seoul skyline and allowed herself to feel the full weight of 5 years in one breath. His apartment was in Gangnam, occupying the top 2 floors of a building that was not the most ostentatious building on the street but was clearly the most secure. There were men in the lobby who were not visible exactly but whose presence was felt. There was a specific quality to the space around Jun wherever he moved, a radius of awareness. Nia noticed. "Those men are watching the exits," she said quietly to Zara as they rode the elevator. "Don't point," Zara said. "I didn't point," Nia said. "I just said." Jun, standing beside them, heard this exchange. He looked at Zara. Zara looked at the elevator doors. "She notices everything," Zara said. "I see that," he said. The apartment was extraordinary. Floor-to-ceiling views of the Han River, enormous space. The specific cold precision of a place that had been designed for function rather than warmth. Nia walked in and stood in the center of the living room and turned slowly, looking at everything. "It's very clean," she said. "Yes," Jun said. "Too clean," Nia said. "Like nobody really lives here, like you sleep here but you don't live here." Jun was quiet for a moment. "That's probably accurate," he said. Nia looked at him. "We can fix that," she said. He looked at her. "Can you?" he said. "I brought my drawings," she said. "They can go on the walls." She looked at the walls. "These walls need something." "Nia," Zara said. Nia said, "They do." Jun looked at his blank walls. "Yes," he said. "They do." The 3 days in Seoul were the strangest and most ordinary of Zara's recent life, simultaneously. Jun was a different person with Nia than he was in any other context she had observed him in. The control was still present, the stillness. But there was something underneath it that had been unlocked, a quality of presence that had nothing managed in it, nothing calculated, just a man sitting on the floor of his very clean apartment, while a 5-year-old explained the logic of her drawing system with complete seriousness, and listening as though this was the most important briefing he had received all year. Which, Zara thought, watching them, it possibly was. On the second evening, Nia fell asleep on the sofa mid-sentence, which she did sometimes when she had spent an entire day being fully herself, and Jun carried her to the guest room without waking her with the careful, specific movements of someone who had discovered they were good at something they had not previously known they could do. He came back to the living room. Zara was on the sofa with her tea. He sat in the chair across from her. They were quiet for a moment. "She wore me out," he said. "She wears everyone out," Zara said, "including me, and I've had 5 years of practice." He looked at the Han River through the window. "5 years," he said. "Yes, I missed 5 years." He was quiet. "I'm angry at myself," he said. "I know," Zara said. "Are you angry at me?" She looked at her tea. "I was," she said. "For a long time I was very angry. Then I was too tired to be angry. Then Nia said something one day that made me decide anger was costing me more than it was costing you." She looked up. "So I put it down." "What did she say?" he said. Zara almost smiled. "She was 3, she said. She found me crying one night when I thought she was asleep. She climbed into my lap and said, 'Mama, sad things happen, but they also made me, and I'm good, so the sad things made something good.' And then she went back to sleep." Jun was very still. "She was 3, he said. "She was 3, Zara confirmed. He looked at the window. "She's extraordinary," he said. "She is," Zara said. "She always has been. They were quiet for a while in the way they had sometimes been quiet at dinners 5 years ago, the specific, comfortable silence of two people whose conversations had covered enough ground that silence didn't require filling. "Zara," he said. "Yes. The arrangement, the marriage your father planned." She looked at her tea. "What about it?" "I don't want it to be an arrangement," he said. "I want it to be a choice if it happens." She looked at him. "Are you asking me something?" she said. "Tonight," he said. "Tonight I'm saying that I understand if the answer is no, and I understand why it might be no, and I'm not going to pretend 5 years didn't happen or that I don't owe you an enormous debt." He held her gaze. "But I'm also not going to pretend I don't want to try." The Han River was doing something specific with the nighttime light outside the window. "I'm going to need more than 3 days," she said. "I know," he said. "And Nia's opinion matters more than mine or yours." "I know that too," he said. Zara looked at the window. "Ask me again in 3 months," she said. He looked at her. 3 months, he said. She nodded. "Don't go anywhere, bestie. This story is about to get into its most dangerous and most beautiful part. Hit that like button right now. Drop a comment and tell me where you are watching from. Are you in Johannesburg, Seoul, New York, London, Toronto, Sydney? Let me know right now. Subscribe if you haven't already. Let's continue." The danger arrived before the 3 months were up. It arrived in the form of a man named Park Sung-yi, which was a name that meant something specific in the world that T-Jun operated in, and that meaning was not good. Park Sung-yi was the head of a rival organization that had been in conflict with the Kwon network for 11 years. A conflict that had its roots in a business dispute that had escalated in the specific way of disputes in their world. Past the point where it was about the original disagreement and into the territory of principle and pride and the kind of accumulated grievance that gets passed from one generation of leadership to the next. T-Jun had managed this conflict for 6 years with the careful precision that characterized everything he did. A balance of deterrence and restraint. Enough pressure to prevent incursion, not enough escalation to ignite full conflict. Park Sung-yi had recently decided that balance no longer suited him. The intelligence reached T-Jun 6 weeks after Zara and Nia returned to Johannesburg. Park Sung-yi knew about Nia. He knew about Zara. He knew about the visits to Seoul and the arrangement with Senator Dlamini. He had sources inside the senator's household. The specific intelligence was that Park Sung-yi was considering using Nia as leverage. T-Jun received this report on a Tuesday morning in his Seoul office. He read it once. He called his head of security. "Johannesburg," he said. "We move tonight." He arrived at Zara's house in Santon at 6 in the morning. She opened the door in her pajamas and found him on the step with 2 of his security team visible in the car at the gate and an expression on his face that she had not seen before, the expression of someone who has been managing something enormous in transit and is now going to say it directly. "What happened?" she said. He told her. She listened. When he finished, the hallway was very quiet. "She's safe," Zara said. Her voice was completely controlled. Underneath it, something was not controlled, but she had a 5-year-old sleeping 20 feet away, and she was not going to be anything other than controlled. "She's safe," he said. "I have people already positioned, but I need you both somewhere more secure." "What does more secure mean?" Zara said. "Seoul," he said. "My residence, my security, my team, until this is resolved." Zara looked at him. "Asking me to move my daughter to Seoul," she said. "Temporarily," he said. "Until Park Sung-yi is dealt with." "How long is temporarily?" "Weeks, possibly months." Zara stood in her hallway. She thought about Nia's school, about her own work, about her father, about the life she had built in this house for 5 years. Then she thought about leverage, about what that word meant when applied to a 5-year-old. "Need to wake Nia," she said. "Zara." "She's coming to Seoul," Zara said. "But I'm not packing her things while she's asleep and moving her without an explanation. She's 5, not a package. I'm waking her and I'm telling her what's happening, and she gets to ask her questions." She held his gaze. "That's how we do things." T-Jun looked at her. "All right," he said. She went to wake Nia. Nia was remarkably calm about the situation. She sat up in bed in her pajamas with her hair covering one eye and listened to Zara explain, in honest, age-appropriate language, that there was a situation and they needed to stay with T-Jun in Seoul for a while where it was safer. Nia was quiet for a moment. "Is it because of Dad's job?" she said. Zara looked at her. "Partly," she said. "His job is dangerous," Nia said. "I could tell from the men who watch the exits." She rubbed her eye. "Is he in danger too?" "He's handling it," Zara said. "That's not what I asked," Nia said. "Everyone is going to be okay," Zara said. "But I need you to get dressed and pack the things you can't leave behind." "Can you do that?" Nia looked at her drawings on the wall. Of them, she said. As many as fit in your bag, Zara said. Nia got up. She went to her drawings. She stood in front of the wall of faces and places and things she had drawn since she was old enough to hold a crayon. She selected carefully and precisely. She took the face she had drawn for years. The one that looked like Tae-jun she took at last. In Seoul, in Tae-jun's apartment that Nia had declared needed something on the walls, the situation with Park Sung-yi was developing in the way of things in Tae-jun's world, slowly and then very quickly. Zara had adapted to the apartment in the way she adapted to most things, by finding the parts of it that worked and making them work harder. She set up a workspace in the study. She found Nia a temporary school arrangement for the short term through a contact Tae-jun's assistant provided. She cooked in the large kitchen that had clearly never been used for cooking, and discovered that the silence of the early mornings in a Seoul high-rise were different from the silence of Johannesburg mornings, in a way she couldn't explain, but kept trying to. Nia adapted immediately and completely. She had Tae-jun's walls covered within 48 hours of arriving. She had opinions about his furniture arrangement. She asked his security team their names, and remembered all of them and addressed them by name, which clearly unsettled them in a way that Zara found extremely funny. She informed Tae-jun's assistant, a precise and efficient man named Mr. Cho, that his filing system was illogical and proposed an alternative. Mr. Cho had looked at Nia's proposed alternative, which was drawn on paper and left on his desk, and had implemented it without comment. Tae-jun had found out about this from Mr. Cho, who had mentioned it with the specific expression of a man who has encountered something he cannot categorize. She reorganized your filing system, Zara said. I see that, Tae-jun said. She's 5, Zara said. I know, Tae-jun said. You going to say something to her about it? He looked at the reorganized files. It's a better system, he said. Zara looked at the ceiling. The confrontation with Park Sung-yi came on a Thursday afternoon. It had been building for 2 weeks, and Tae-jun's team had been tracking it with the precision of people who understood that preparation was the difference between resolution and catastrophe. Park Sung-yi had made a move. A specific calculated move against one of Tae-jun's legitimate business interests in New York. A technology investment that was public and documented, and whose disruption would cause both financial and reputational damage. Was designed to draw Tae-jun into a response that would escalate the conflict into territory that served Park Sung-yi's purposes. Tae-jun did not take the obvious response. He was in the study of the apartment reviewing documents when Nia came in without knocking, which was her consistent approach to all rooms. Nia, Zara's voice from the hallway. I said knock. I forgot, Nia said. She looked at Tae-jun. You're thinking about the bad man. Tae-jun looked at her. What do you know about the bad man? He said, I hear things, Nia said. She came to stand beside his desk and looked at the documents. You're trying to figure out what he wants, Tae-jun said. What does he actually want? Nia said. Not what he says he wants, what he actually wants. Tae-jun looked at this child. What do you mean? He said. Mama says people always want 2 things, Nia said. The thing they say they want, and the real thing is usually about feeling something, feeling powerful, feeling safe. Feeling like they won. She looked at the documents. What does he actually want to feel? Tae-jun was quiet. He looked at the documents. He thought about Park Sung-yi, about 11 years of conflict, about what had started it and what had sustained it, about the specific pride of a man who had been passed over for something important early in his career and had spent a decade compensating. He wanted to win, not to acquire anything specifically. To win. To be seen to have beaten the Kwon organization publicly, demonstrably, in a way that established hierarchy. If Tae-jun responded to the New York provocation with the obvious countermove, Park Sung-yi got his escalation. He got his conflict. He got his theater. If Tae-jun didn't respond at all, Park Sung-yi didn't get his win. He got silence, which to a man whose deepest need was to be seen to win was worse than any countermove. He wants to feel like he won, Tae-jun said slowly. So don't let him feel that, Nia said. Don't fight him, that's what he wants. Ignore him. People who want to win hate being ignored. Tae-jun looked at his 5-year-old daughter. Nia, he said. Yes, you might be the most strategically minded person I have in this building. Nia looked pleased but kept it contained. I know, she said. Can I have a snack now? The strategy Tae-jun's team developed in the following week was built around the principle Nia had identified without knowing she had identified it. Non-escalation. non-response to the provocations. A systematic, quiet withdrawal from the spaces where conflict with Park Sung-yi could be manufactured, combined with a simultaneous strengthening of the positions that mattered most. It was not a dramatic strategy. It was a patient one. It took 6 weeks. Park Sung-yi escalated twice more, each time expecting response and receiving silence. He lost face with his own organization. He overextended himself in moves that assumed retaliation, and when retaliation didn't come, those moves left him exposed. By the end of those 6 weeks, his second-in-command had opened back-channel communications with T-Jun's team. The conflict did not end dramatically. It ended with a document signed in a lawyer's office in Singapore, witnessed by neutral parties, establishing terms that both organizations could maintain without ongoing hostility, not peace exactly, but the absence of war. T-Jun's head of security delivered the news on a Friday evening. T-Jun was in the living room of the apartment. Nia was on the floor drawing. Zara was on the sofa reading. He read the message from his security head. He set the phone down. "It's done," he said. Zara looked up from her book. Nia looked up from her drawing. "Bad man," Nia said. "Yes," T-Jun said. Nia looked at him. "Did you ignore him?" "We did," T-Jun said. Nia nodded with the specific satisfaction of someone whose advice has been followed and has produced the predicted result. "Good," she said. She went back to her drawing. T-Jun looked at Zara. Zara looked at him. Something in the room had changed. Not dramatically, but it had changed. "We can go home," Zara said. "Yes," he said. "You can go home." Neither of them moved. "Nia," Zara said carefully. "I know, Mama," Nia said without looking up. "You know what?" Zara said. "That you're trying to figure out what comes next," Nia said. "You and Dad, what happens now?" She turned a page in her sketchbook. "You should just ask each other, directly, that's always faster." T-Jun looked at Zara. Zara looked at T-Jun. 3 months, T-Jun said. "You said 3 months." "It's been almost 3 months," Zara said. "It has," he said. The apartment was very quiet. Nia put down her pencil. She looked at both of them. "Go to my room," she said. She stood up. She walked to the door. She stopped. She turned around. "Just so you both know," she said. "I already know what you're going to decide. I've known since the garden in Johannesburg when you gave him water glasses." She looked at T-Jun. "She kept watching you when she thought you weren't looking. People watch the things that matter." She looked at Zara. "And you stopped being sad the angry kind. You went back to being sad the missing kind, which means you missed him." She looked between them. "So it's okay, I'm fine with it." She paused. "But I want a dog." She went to her room. T-Jun and Zara stood in the silence she left behind. "She wants a dog," Zara said finally. "I heard," he said. "She's been asking for a dog for 2 years," Zara said. "We can get a dog," he said. Zara looked at him. "T-Jun," she said. "Yes." "Ask me the question," she said. He looked at her. He crossed the room. He stood in front of her. "Stay," he said. "Not for an arrangement, not for a partnership agreement. Stay because I have been thinking about you since a hotel stairwell 5 years ago, and I tried to stop, and I couldn't. And now I have a daughter who reorganizes filing systems and advises on geopolitical strategy. And she has your stubbornness and my eyes, and she is the best thing that has ever happened to me, and I missed her entire first 5 years, and I do not want to miss anything else." He held her gaze. "Stay!" Zara looked at him. She thought about Cape Town. About 5 years alone. About a child who drew his face while she was almost sleeping. She thought about 3 months and patience and the specific courage of deciding to try. "We're not getting married because of an arrangement," she said. "No," he agreed. "We're not getting married because of Nia either," she said. "No," he agreed again. "If we get married, it's because we choose it," she said. "Both of us freely." He said. "I need more time," she said. "I know," he said. "But I'll stay," she said. "For now," he looked at her. The Han River was doing something with the evening light again. "Thank you," he said. From the direction of Nia's room came a sound. Small feet approaching. A pause outside the living room door, then a small voice. "I'm not eavesdropping," Nia announced through the door. "I'm just nearby." T-Jun looked at Zara. Zara put her face in her hand. "Nia," T-Jun said. "Yes," Nia said. "You can come in." Door opened. Nia came in. She looked at the two of them. She read whatever she read with those eyes. She nodded once with the satisfaction of a thing resolved. "Good," she said. "Now can we talk about the dog?" 1 year later, in an apartment in Seoul that had drawings on every wall and a small chaos of a 5-year-old's existence distributed through its previously clinical spaces, and a large, gentle dog named Biscuit, who had been chosen by Nia on her specific scientific criteria, which she explained at length to the breeder. Two people who had found each other twice stood in the kitchen on a Sunday morning making breakfast. Nia was at the table doing her drawings. Biscuit was under the table in the way of large dogs who believe they are small. It was an ordinary Sunday, which was, after everything, the most extraordinary thing. "Mama," Nia said. "Yes, baby." "When we go to New York next month for Dad's meetings," Nia said, "can we see the Statue of Liberty?" "We can try," Zara said. "I want to draw it," Nia said. "From close up, not from a picture." She kept drawing. "I think it looks different in person." "Things do," Jun said from the stove. Nia looked at him. "That's wise," she said. "Thank you," he said. "Getting wiser," she said. "Slowly, but you're getting there." Jun looked at Zara. Zara looked at the ceiling. "She's yours," Zara said. "She's ours," he said. Nia put down her pencil and looked between them with those eyes. "Mine," she said. "You just look after me." She picked up her pencil. Biscuit's tail thumped twice under the table. The Sunday morning continued. And that is where this story ends, not in a hotel stairwell in Johannesburg. Not in a car leaving a hotel at 3 in the morning. Not in a garden with 2 glasses of water or a filing system reorganized by a 5-year-old or a document signed in a lawyer's office in Singapore. But in a kitchen on a Sunday morning in Seoul with a dog under the table and drawings on the walls and a child who had been drawing her father's face for years before she knew who he was and who had, in the specific way of extraordinary children, known things before anyone told her and said them before anyone was ready to hear them. Nia Dlamini came into the world in Cape Town, South Africa, without a father's name on her birth certificate, and spent 5 years being the most remarkable person in every room she entered. She found her father before he found her. She found him on smell and eyes, and the specific instinct of a child who has been carrying half of someone their entire life and recognizes the other half on sight. And Kwon Tae-jun, who had spent 6 years as the most feared name in a very dangerous world, discovered that the most disarming thing he had ever encountered was a 5-year-old with a glass of water and a question that didn't leave room for polite avoidance. She told him not to take too long. He didn't. "Now I want to speak to you directly before you go." If you watched this entire story, if you held your breath when Nia walked into that dining room, if you felt something when she said he smells like me, if you laughed when she said I'm fine with it but I want a dog, if you sat with a Sunday morning kitchen at the end and felt what it meant, then this channel was made for you. Subscribe right now. Hit the like button. Share this video with someone who needs to believe that the right people find each other even when everything tries to prevent it. Drop a comment and tell me where you are watching from. I want to hear from South Africa, from the USA, from Canada, from the UK, from Australia, from South Korea, and everywhere else in this world where Nia's story reached today. And one final thing. If you watched this entire story and you don't subscribe, don't like, don't comment, and don't share, that silence means you are on the side of Park Sung-yi, who thought that a child could be used as leverage, who thought that threatening the people someone loves was a reasonable strategy, who learned eventually that the most dangerous opponent is not the one who fights back loudest but the one who simply doesn't play the game you designed. We know that is not who you are, so hit subscribe. Hit like. Leave a comment. Share this story, because Nia's story deserves to be heard, and Afro-Korean love stories will keep bringing you more. Thank you for watching.